All right, Shalom. This is Brother Mayim coming at you from GMS Tampa Bay. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles of Great Millstone. Single salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, who are diligently pushing out His truth and sincerity. And Shalom as well to the Akwathium, the sisters who may be learning in quietness and meekness. All right, so I want to do a little video here on this article. I didn't come across this article. I actually heard about this situation earlier today, this morning on my ride to work on the NPR news station, and then they were going into. I kind of got into the conversation they were having, kind of a little bit about halfway through, but they were talking about what was happening over there in Lebanon and their economy. All right, they have their they actually just what's the word they just established a state of economic emergency over there in Lebanon, I believe earlier this week. And it kind of interested me because a lot of the things that they were talking about sounds very familiar, and we're going to get into it because it's happening elsewhere, and it's happening here. It's happening here in Babylon the Great. All right, it's happening here. So as you can see here, the article that I was able to find on this, that was just one of the first ones. It was the most recent one. This one actually came out yesterday. But it says, as protests grip Lebanon, and see, this is why a lot of the other nations that are protesting, the people that are protesting in these other nations, this is the exact same reasons why the people are protesting, because of economic trouble. All right, people are fed up with the nonsense, and they it's like a one big circle of going through these economic troubles, and the people are frankly fed up with it. All right, so they're protesting, like the scriptures say, sedition. All right, in Second Ezra chapter 15, it talks about the sedition amongst men. Let me just pull that up and read it. Oops, wrong one. Salakia. All right, because this is what's happening around the four corners of the earth. All right, and it's clear and evident, and it's going to continue, and things are not going to get any better. Okay. Verse 16, 2 Ezra 15 and 16, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." All right, let's get that word sedition real quick. All right, just to show you what this is talking about, because this is exactly what is going on. This is exactly what's going on in the world. All right, sedition. Mid 14th century, rebellion, uprising, revolt. All right, concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority, violent strife between factions, civil or religious disorder, riot, rebelliousness against authority. What's the authority that the people are rioting against? Is the government. All right, look, it says civil disorder, dissension, strife, rebellion. Okay, and see, this is what's going on the earth, man. The sedition amongst men. And here's another example, all right, of yet another sedition amongst men, this time in Lebanon. All right, and this has been going on. The riot started, I believe, about a week ago, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've read into so far. But it says, as protests grip Lebanon, because I don't really want to touch too much on the fact of the riots. I want to go into the issue of why the riots are happening and what's happening right now over there in Lebanon, and kind of connect a few dots for Akim to take notice of, for brothers that are, I know brothers are paying attention to what's happening around the four corners of the earth, but for those of you that that are just recently coming into this truth and watching these videos, you know, this is a little bit of good information for you to do a little bit more research on. All right, so it says banks to stay shut until calm returns. All right, and this is actually what piqued my interest in into looking more into this, because as I said earlier, I was listening to this on NPR, and they were talking about how the banks were closed, how businesses were closed. All right, and they actually brought up the gentleman who was speaking, or it might have been a woman, but nonetheless, they had made a statement saying that the streets were closed, that the windows were dark, and that no one was found on the streets. And that actually brought up this precept to mind. I'm gonna get it because, again, this is what's coming to Babylon the Great, which is AKA America. All right, it's gonna come here, and as we're gonna see, I didn't get too much information, but I got a few numbers to show you how bad it really is. Not only like I said, in this country, Lebanon, and all these other countries. I'm not gonna focus more on their information, on their numbers, but I want to show you the numbers happening here in America. Okay, so it says, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3. Salakia, I had a little hiccup there. But before I read that real quick, again, it says, as protests grip Lebanon, banks to stay shut until calm returns. Let me see if I can see if it says in here about the businesses, because it's not just the banks, okay? It's more than just the banks. It's businesses are closed. All right, people are out on the streets rioting. All right, and as you can see, it's obviously an economic collapse. And I'm not going to read this whole article. You can read it on your own, and you can see that people aren't even getting paid. All right, it's just not enough money to be able to spend. And this country, all right, this country, Lebanon here, as one that we should know of, they import more than they export. All right, so they heavily rely on this money. All right, the value of their money, all right, and having it, and it's failing them. All right, so they're kind of in shock right now. That's why they have the banks closed, because, and if brothers know anything about economic history, we've seen this before, or we've read about this happening before, of banks closing. All right, but let's get this quick piece of going into what that lady said this morning on the news, on the NPR radio, about how the banks were closed, businesses were closed. All right, the windows were all dark and everything like that. And she said there was no one on the streets. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinder cease. That grinders, the grinders is the people who work. All right, because to grind you have to put work, right? You're grinding meal, you're grinding whatever. All right, that's representative. This is a metaphor for workers, for work. Okay, it says, and the grinder cease. All right, so there's no more work. No one's working, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. You see, and not many people are going to be working when they're not getting paid, and the money that they do get paid is not paying for anything, man. Okay, this is what has happened in Venezuela. Okay, for an example, more, you know, that's an example that there's more information out about what's happened, at least on the surface, what's happened or what's happening out there. All right, the economy took a shit. People weren't able, for a bag of rice, it was basically almost damn near a month's worth of labor just to buy a little bag of rice. You know, so things are tough over there, and it's happening over the earth. So people, why work? What's the point of working when you can just go rob and steal? All right, and this is what's happening as well in Lebanon. All right, the people are just rioting over there. Okay, and it says, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Why are the windows be darkened? Because there's nobody in there to work. There's no lights on. The lights are all off. Okay. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. You see, The doors shall be shut in the streets of what? The doors of what? The businesses, man. Okay. And he said, and it says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Exactly, man. All right. Like the scriptures say, the Lord shall take the spirit of mirth from these people. And that's what's happening on the planet Earth. The Lord is taking that spirit of mirth. All right, let me see if I can find that. Of course, Esau ain't gonna show it. All right. Let me just find it. This is a good one here. I don't think this is it, but this is a good one here. It says Isaiah chapter 24. We can really start at verse 8 and read down a little bit, but let's get this. Isaiah 24 and verse 8 says, the mirth of Tabaret ceases. Going back to that Ecclesiastes 12 and 4. All right, the mirth of Tabaret ceases, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceases. And you see the whole entire earth was in a state of mirth, man. All right, until what? The Spirit of the Lord started amping up, and these prophecies started to come to fruition, man. All right, and what? Here in America, this place still really believes, and like I said, I'm going to show a few numbers. They really still believe that they're in good case, man. They really believe they're still in the spirit of mirth amidst of all this chaos that's happening on planet Earth. You still have people here in America who are just in the spirit of mirth, just enjoying life, thinking that that they really have money, that they're wealthy. You know, they have all this money to spend. You know, these people really still believe that this is that they're gonna be okay, man. Verse 9, it says that's why. And I just had it up there. It said the heart of the wise is in mourning, but the heart of fools is in well, let me pull it up again, and then we'll get back to this one in Isaiah 24 real quick. It was right above it. Let me see if I can find it. All right, Ecclesiastes 7:4 says, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. And this is exactly what the men of the Lord are doing. We're mourning right now because, one, our people are completely destroyed, utterly destroyed. All right. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Second, the kingdom of heaven is not established, man. And really, that's the first one. First and foremost, the kingdom of heaven is not established. The wicked are in rulership. All right. So this is why we're in that spirit of mirth, of Salakia, not mirth. That's slip of the tongue. It says in the house of mourning. All right, that's why we're in the house of mourning. All right, meaning we're not really enjoying the life that's set before us. All right, we're rejoicing in the spirit of the Heavenly Father, but we're not rejoicing in this life, man. All right, because why? Yahushua said, "He who..." Let's get that real quick. Salaki, I know I'm pulling up a couple precepts, and I got a couple things to pull out, a little bit of information, but all right, this is why we're not rejoicing. Let me see if it pops up with that. Matthew 16 and 25. Let's get that real quick. Matthew 16 and 25. All right, Matthew 16 and 25, it says, for whosoever shall save his life, all right, shall lose it. And whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. All right. So the point is we're trying to save our lives. We're trying to save our souls. All right, and in doing so, we're gonna lose this life. You see, we're not rejoicing in this life. We're not in the spirit of mirth in this life, because to save our souls, we have to lose this life. And brothers have done that, man. Brothers have completely put off that old man. They put away that old life, man. Okay? So we're not rejoicing. All right? And it said, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. And we found life, man. We found life in the living waters, man. The living this word, man. All right. So going back to this, it said, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. Why are they in the house of mirth? Because they're not trying to save their lives. They're trying to be in the spirit. They're trying to live in the moment. They're trying to live their best life, as they say. They're trying to live their best life. But what the wise, all right, like it says here in Ecclesiastes 7:4, it says the wise, we're in mourning. Why? Because we've lost our life for the Lord's sake. Now, that doesn't mean that we're just all in a depressed state. No, man. We're rejoicing in the spirit of the Heavenly Father. But when it comes to this world, we're in the house of mourning, man. Okay? So now going back to this Isaiah 24:8, it says, the mirth of tabrets ceases, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. All right? And see, this is what's happening around the earth. All right, the noise of them that rejoice ended. The joy of the harp ceaseth. Nobody's enjoying life right now outside of America. And really, you Babylonians, all right, that's what I'm gonna call y'all, you Babylonians. You really ain't enjoying your life, anyways, man. You people really are not enjoying your lives, man. This isn't living, man. You have to worry about your kids being what's the word? Subjected onto this wickedness out here, man. Your kid could be getting taught by a tranny, or have his teacher's a homosexual and he's always all over your kid, leaning over them. You know, could be a pedophile. You got all this pedophilia happening out here, man. All right. You got to worry about, and that's just dealing with kids, man. And not to mention all the other madness you have to worry about out here, man. But these people are really just thinking that they're living the life, man. All right. It says Isaiah 24:9, they shall not drink wine with a song. All right. And what it say? And let me finish the verse. Actually, it says strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. You see, and this is again. Now, here in America, you still get these people who go to the clubs, they're drinking, having a good time, right? That's what it means. They shall not drink wine with a song. But that's what they're doing right now in America. Here it is. The rest of the world is in shambles. But you Americans just have no clue. All right. But what? These other countries, they're not drinking wine with no song, man. They're not sitting in their homes just having a good, jolly old time, man. There's sedition, man. There's sedition happening right now. Ain't nobody trying to be in no good mood, man. Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit, man. People just want to drink and wash away their miseries. And then what it say here? Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. So even when they just want to just sit down, man, and after a long day of having to fight riots and all this and that, man, they don't even want to sit down and drink anymore because it's bitter to them. It's just going to make them even more depressed, man. More miserable. Okay? Verse 10, it says, the city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. And you see, and this is what's going to come to America. All right? This is what's going to come down to America, man. To Babylon. The city of confusion. You go into that word Babylon, it means what? Babel, confusion. Okay? The city of confusion, and America is the most confused place on the planet Earth. Here it is. You got all these crises happening, these protests happening around the earth, but this place is still living it up like nothing's happening, man. How more stupider can you be, man? If I was you, if I was a Babylonian, guess what? I'd be preparing for what's getting ready to come. And I'm doing, Lord willing, I'm doing that through the Spirit. You see? But you people, you're not even preparing physically, man. Okay, it says, verse verse 11, there is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. You see, and again, this is going, I'm referencing this to these countries that are going through these protests, but this is what's going to come to America, man. All right, and this is the mirth of the land is gone. I know you think people in Lebanon right now are happy. They can't even get their money out the bank, man. Which is what I want to get. I want to touch on a little bit, because the last time that happened when they were closing banks was what? The Great Depression, and this is what made things so much worse. All right, I'm gonna read a little snippet here. Here where it says the run. It says the run on America's, and this website is called the Great Depression Causes and Effects, something along those lines. But let me read this paragraph here. It says the run on America's banks. The run on America's banks began immediately following the stock market crash of 1929. Overnight, hundreds of thousands of customers began to withdraw their deposits. With no money to lend and loans going sour as businesses and farmers went belly up, the American banking crisis deepened. All right, and we all know about the Great Depression because Esau teaches you that in the schools, man. And we know how bad that was. And here it is. Here's an example of this happening again. And this is on a very low level. All right, because why? This is why they have the banks closed, because they're in fear that people are just going to come running into the banks as soon as they open and take all their money out, and then economic collapse completely happens over there, man. See, look, it says banks have shut their doors for 6 working days. It's been 6 days and these banks are closed, man. Nobody's getting their paychecks. Nobody's getting paid. The banks are closed. And look, they even said here, it says in this paragraph at the top where it says they will remain closed on Friday. It says, for the safety of customers, employees, and properties, the ABL said they will provide month-end wages via ATMs. That's some crazy nonsense. Imagine that, you having to go to the ATM for your paycheck, man, that you've been waiting for, because the banks have been closed. They're not processing no checks from your company. Your company's even been closed because you ain't working, because there's all types of chaos out there. Because what's the point of going to work if you're not going to get paid, right? Okay. And it said, yep, that was basically it on that paragraph. But this is what's happening over there in Lebanon right now. They got all these businesses closed, and the banks are closed because they're in fear that the people are going to run up in there and ensue even worse state, man. Okay. And there was another point I wanted to touch on in here, but it looks like that's the end of the article. Maybe I passed it. Thought it was in this article. Maybe it was another one that I was reading up on earlier. Let me see. Man, I could have sworn it was in here. Let me see. Maybe there's more at the bottom here. Nope. All right, well, let's go back. Maybe it was this one. Yeah, it was this article. All right, kind. All right, because this is what's and you can see here is just mass protests over there. All right, unprecedented in peacetime. All right, this is where I want to get. Let me make sure I was done over here. Yeah, that was it on that. But yeah, so basically this is what's happening, man. The Lord is taking that spirit of mirth, man. All right, and it says what? Unprecedented in peacetime in this article. All right, it says economic problems have long plagued the diverse Middle Eastern country, home to 6. And this is what I wanted to bring out, this little paragraph here in this article on CNBC entitled Lebanon could be headed for a cash crisis as banks remain shut a week into mass protests. I wanted to bring out this bit of information because this is I'm gonna pull up some more information on these numbers here that we're gonna see, and you're gonna see that it's really bad here in America. It's gonna be really bad here in America. All right, it says economic problems have long plagued the diverse Middle Eastern country, home to 6 million people. All right, keep that in mind. 6 million people. They only have 6 million people in 18 religious communities. Lebanon's current account deficit stands at an eye-popping 25%, meaning it imports far more than it exports, spends more than it saves, and relies heavily on foreign remittance to stay afloat. That should sound very familiar to you. Imports far more than it exports, America. Spends more than it saves, America. And we can pull up the data, all right. But all this is pointing to America. Now it said here is account deficit, which is basically the trade deficit, stands at an eye-popping 25%, meaning it imports far more than it exports. Now let's actually take a look at the numbers, which when you go into it, you can basically break it down to your debt to GDP ratio. All right. Actually, let me pull up this other article. All right, this is the U.S. trade deficit. All right. There was one in particular. Let me go back one. All right, because it said what? It said that Lebanon they import more than they export, right? Well, let's take a look at America's. Okay. Let me see if I can find. All right. So U.S. imports, more than 80% of U.S. imports are goods, $2.6 trillion. That's just in just goods. All right, but let me see if I can find. There was a graph that I seen. Let me see. Imports, exports, U.S. imports and exports summary. Man, there was one. Let's see, the trade balance. No, this is not it. All right, let's just get to this other one that I got. All right, so basically, this is the debt. Now you can see here. Where is it? Down here. Yep. Okay. So countries by national debt. Now you can see Lebanon is right here. Their national debt is 157.81%, with the 6 million people that they said. Population a little over, well over 6 million, almost 7 million. All right. Now you can see Japan. Now take a look at their national debt to GDP ratio and their population. All right. Look at the population. All right. And if you see, it's very small numbers compared to this number right here, right? And look at that percentage, 106.70. But that's really that percentage should be higher compared to the population, because the bigger the population, the more GDP you have. So the more GDP you have, and you still have that high of a percentage, that means that your national debt should be very high then, right? Now this is that big number that we seen. This right here, that's who? The United States. Now look at all these other countries that are above them: Singapore, Barbados, Portugal, Mozambique, Cape Verde. You know, all these small countries compared. Well, Japan's pretty small, but they have a high population. But still, look at those countries, and then you have America. All right, that's the national debt, and we know the national debt is higher, a lot higher than what they say. I think in here they say America's national debt is $19.23 trillion, which that's a bold-faced lie. All right, it's a lot more than that. We can actually just go to the national debt clock and see that that's a farce that it shows in that article. All right, national debt clock. Let's just type that in. Click on that. All right, and just the U.S. national debt is this already right here is at 22. But if you look at the total U.S. debt, which I'm pretty sure it's a lot higher than this, but you're in the 74 trillions of here, as of right here. Okay, now let's see if we can find some numbers here. Let's see. Because what America does is they spend more than they make. All right, And let me see. Trade balance. Here we go. U.S. debt held by foreign countries. You got $6 trillion U.S. trade deficit. All right. The complete U.S. trade deficit right there. And I'm sure it's a lot more higher than this. This means they're importing more than they export. It's 800, what is that? Billion. 885 billion. That's their debt ratio. All right. Exports to debt. All right, now remember Lebanon, they didn't show their numbers, but it said that it was 25%. Now, their trade deficit is that. Let's see if it shows, it doesn't show the percentage on here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be higher than 27% or 25% like it's happening over there in what's it called, in Lebanon. All right. But as we can see, man, the cases that are happening around the earth, all right, the conditions that these other economies are in, and the reason why these people are going crazy is because of those reasons. Now, just looking at simple numbers like what you see here. Oh, here we go. Okay. U.S. federal budget deficit surplus to GDP ratio right now. All right. And if you can look here, you have 1% in the 80s, the 90s you had 2.4%, and this is deficit now. Then you had a 1.29% surplus. All right, that was just right after Clinton. All right, because Clinton, had some things popping. All right, but then you had the financial recession, right? And now look where we're back at right now. It's climbing, man, and things are gonna get a lot worse. All right. As you can see here, look at the percentage of U.S. federal debt to GDP ratio. Look at these percentages. All right, in the 80s, we had a recession. Okay. In the 2000. All right, now look at the percentage. This is national debt to GDP ratio. Look at the difference in all these other numbers here. You got 52, 34, 55, 106% GDP debt to GDP ratio, man. That is absurd. But you people are living in mirth, man. This is why the Lord is getting ready to take all this from you people, and the Lord is giving you the signs, man. Here it is. You have all this nonsense happening around the earth, such as examples like this: Lebanon, Paris, Britain, Chile, Bolivia, Venezuela, the Democratic Republic of Congo, China, with Hong Kong. All these nations, and there's more. Okay, that's just a tad bit. As a matter of fact, let's type this in. Watch this. Protest in, and then look at the list. And it's not all of them. Lebanon, Hong Kong, Chile, Barcelona, which is Spain, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Spain, Haiti. You see, there's protests happening all over the world, but when you look at the numbers, when you look at what the numbers of here in America compared to these other nations that are in complete shambles right now, you would think that America would be in complete shambles. But what? This devil Esau Edom, he's got to disguise it, man. He's been disguising this for a long time with these charades, and the same thing happened during the time of the Roman Empire, man. They put up these circuses, basically, for lack of a better term at the moment. All right, these gladiator fights. All right, they put up a lot of shows, man, a lot of entertainment. And this is what we see happening in America. Everybody's being entertained. Meanwhile, the earth is falling apart, man. The people are falling apart. The governments are falling apart, and it's all due to this to the Lord, man. Okay. Let's see world debt clocks. Let's see this. Look at that, man. National debt for USA just surpasses everybody, man. That's ridiculous. Public debt to GDP ratio. External debt to GDP. This is absurd, man. Just America has the most absurd numbers, man. Okay. Let's see what this. No, that's by state. I don't want to see that. But see, man, this place is through, man. All right, let me get a preset, and I'm gonna close out on this because I don't want to make it too long. I know I've gone on a little bit. This is was it 29 or 19? I think it's 29. I think it's 19 actually. Salakia is Isaiah 19, and let me just get right to the point. This is a really good chapter. Brothers can read the whole thing. All right, this is Isaiah chapter 19, and this is talking about this says here what the burden of Egypt, which we know that this place is America is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Okay, it says Isaiah 19 and 14, the Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and there's a perverse spirit spread out through all the streets of America. If you don't believe that this place is just wicked, all out wicked, then you're just bugged out, man. And the Lord has put such a wicked spirit on you people that you just completely blinded to the fact of that this place is falling apart. All right. and expect big things to happen here coming soon, man. We're in the final months of 2019, coming on 2020, man. Expect big things to happen, especially pertaining to America, man. All right, it says Isaiah 19:14, the Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. You see, this is what's coming. This is what's happening. The Lord is causing everything that you people do to err, to your leaders, everything that they do to err, meaning it's of no effect. It's not working. It's failing. Salakia. You got companies that are failing. The agricultural prices, Salakia, not prices. The agricultural industry is failing. Okay, you have companies that are not doing so hot. As much as you people don't believe so, because you can go and get a loan. Interest rates are at the all-time lows, man. But what? Things are just not gonna get any good, man. It's not good, man. You people are just bugged out of your damn minds, man, if you think this place is gonna continue. This is Isaiah 19:15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. In that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman. It shall be afraid and fear. You see, and that's what's hitting all these other nations right now. That fear, because people have lost it. They've completely lost it, man, and they're tired of this shit, and it's gonna come here to the streets of America as well. And because this is the place that is causing all this trouble. All right, America is the country that's causing all this trouble. They're the ones that are fucking people shit up, man. Excuse my language, but it is what it is, man. America's the one messing with everybody else, man, and the other nations, they're gonna realize this real soon, man. Pursuant to Revelation 17, man. Okay. Oop. Verse 16, it says, in that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. All right. And this is going to be the point that you Americans, you Babylonians are getting ready to come into, man. The shaking of the Lord's hands over this place, man. And the men of the Lord, man, we see it. We see it. And Lord willing, I'm part of that fold, man. All right, because hey, and all praises to Yahweh Shem Shai. I can see this, man. I can see what's happening, man. All right, the Lord has given his men the script of what's happening, and we see it, man. We're sitting behind the camera as he's filming this movie, and we're reading the script as it's happening, man. So we see the next few lines that are coming, man, and it's not good for you people. These other countries that you see on the news, well, the few of you that do watch it, man, that's coming to America real soon. All right, with that, Lord willing, you were edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, great millstone. Much blessing and salutations to the Akim around the four corners of the earth who are diligently pushing out this truth and sincerity. Shalom as well to the Akwathium, the sisters who are learning in quietness and meekness. Shalom.